That was at number 4,192, and now Pete Rose of Cincinnati, Ohio, is the all-time hit leader in all of baseball. Good evening. He worked and sweated for 23 years for this moment, and tonight, in front of his family, his friends, and 50,000 unabashed Pete Rose fans, he did it. He became the man who broke the unbreakable record. 57 years to the day after Ty Cobb set the all-time hit record, Pete Rose got number 4,192, as he called it, the big knock. Pete basked in the adoration of his teammates and his fans, and deservedly so. Thousands of flashbulbs were going, each person recording a scene that will be hard to forget. The emotion of the moment was even too much for the usually stoic Rose. The applause would continue for minutes, and later a hug from the second generation of Pete Roses.
Boy, this is his game, it's his town, and it is.
Immediately after the game tonight, a winning effort by the Reds, I might add, a ceremony was held, one especially for Pete Rose. Reds owner Marge Schott presented him with a silver service with 24 cups, each one inscribed with one of the 24 records Pete holds in Major League Baseball. Then Pete was able to describe his own feelings.
I'm really not smart enough to come up with the words to show my appreciation for the fans. I was awful lonely when I was out there at first base, and I really couldn't tell you what was going through my mind or going through my stomach. I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know what to do, and they just made me feel so good.
Now, later during the ceremony, when asked if he'd play next year, he answered, "The way I feel tonight, I'd say yes." Norma, obviously a very happy man.
We hope he will play. All this attention will take him away from the people who've been with him all along, his family. They are as much relieved as proud tonight. Our Dave Robinson was with them for the historic hit.
As is custom, Pete's mom, sister, and brother arrived in their seats behind home plate about a half hour before game time. Idle small talk, hiding frayed nerves. Also custom, wife Carol and son Ty walked in a few minutes before the first pitch. A nervous smile for her, a toddler's wonder at what he can't yet understand for him.
The last several days have been very hard on the Rose family, and after last night's disappointment, had Pete not gotten a hit tonight, it would have been almost too much to bear.
Mom Rose predicted the hit would come on the first at bat. Carol preferred to hope.
Glad it's over?
Please. Oh. Yes, I couldn't have took much more. He's crying, I'm crying, my son's crying. Oh, God. This is the most wonderful thing ever happened.
I knew it was a base hit as soon as it left the bat, you know. I grabbed my mom. You know. It's tough.
And as the moment sank in, pride emerged.
He worked hard for it. He worked real hard.
Dave Robinson, News 5 Tonight.
We've had a lot of calls the last few days from people who want to thank Marge Schott for bringing Pete Rose back to Cincinnati, giving this town a chance to show off and to share in his happiness. So here's the best thanks Marge could ever get. A ballpark full of fans having a great time and taking home some wonderful memories of the night they saw history.
We saw the greatest moment in sports history. You can't top it, you can't beat it. I could talk to my kids forever. I could never explain it.
Awesome. It was awesome. I saw one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life and probably ever will see.
And we at Channel 5 want to thank all of you. You made the last few days of watching and waiting so much fun. Well, nowhere is the fan reaction more intense right now than on the newly declared Pete Rose Way, better known as 2nd Street. Our Clyde Gray is there live. Clyde, what's it like out there?
Well, Norma, as you said, we are here perched high atop one of our news vans on 2nd Street, soon to be renamed Pete Rose Way. And as you take a look behind me at one of the local taverns, you can see that quite a crowd is building up. But I got to tell you, the odd thing about it is that with the exception of the crowds at the taverns, some of the people who have been attracted to different television lights and cameras around here, there's not much of a crowd out here tonight. It's hard to believe that it was just 3 hours ago that Pete Rose broke the batting records, made history, because the exuberance shown in the stadium, except for this knot of people here, one guy down here trying to sell me some tickets, except for these people, the crowd is pretty much subdued. It's estimated, I guess, that most people have to go to work tomorrow, and so they're heading home. Traffic's not that bad down here, but people are heading home, except for those going to the taverns out here. You know, there were a lot of people who were watching the game tonight. In Western Hills, for example, where Pete grew up, a number of his fans were anxiously waiting to celebrate, a celebration that had been put off after 2 nights of waiting. John London was with him when Pete went hitless last night, and again he was with him tonight when Pete got the hit that ended all of the waiting.
They were primed and ready for Pete's tiebreaker last night, so much so that they engaged in a little false advertising at the wagon wheel, then tried to make good on it by adding red coloring to the beer.
Rose beer.
And tonight, all primed and ready again. Waiting for the event became something of an event itself.
Here at the Blue Moon Saloon, it was standing room only last night. Tonight, not quite as packed, but when Pete got the big hit, boy, there was a lot of enthusiasm for him here. 2-1 is the hitter's pitch, and I saw it in his eyes and the confidence. 2-1, it was his pitch, and he got it.
I love it. I love it. I think it's great, and I'm going down to Phil Donahue tomorrow.
I think it was fabulous. I got goosebumps all over. I'm already hoarse. It was great. I loved it.
After all the hype and all the anticipation, the faces of Western Hills were smiling tonight. The moment was perfect.
Gives us all a reason to celebrate, even though it won't be a pennant. We gave us reason to celebrate, just like his hitting streak did a few years back.
They were primed and ready for one more cheer. John London, News 5 Tonight. Now let's go to Michael Collins at the stadium.
John, I want you to get a look at this crowd down here. They're still here, and they're still yelling, Pete, 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 Pete. Now, it's too bad that the entire city couldn't be here tonight, but the stadium held some 51,000 people. 51,000 people who are pretty much on their way home now with some 51,000 different stories on how the record was broken. This is mine.
I'll never forget September 11th, 1985. We were there when Pete Rose slammed his way into the record books forever.
Someday when you tell your kids about this, what are you going to tell them?
That I was here at this game and got my ticket for 50 cents. And I'll probably just hang on to the ticket and show it to them.
I couldn't decide if I should watch the TV or watch the real play, and I thought, oh, set the TV down, watch the real play, and there it went. And I could have cried. I could have cried.
Of course, there are others with different memories of the moment.
I was in the bathroom, and I heard the big crowd go up, and
so exciting.
I died. I said, oh, man, I came here for nothing.
Waiting on a frustrated customer.
What did he order?
A brat and a hot dog.
What did he say?
He said, hurry up.
But for me, the magic was seeing it up close in the middle of all the action. I could see the tension on his face. A trickle of sweat poured down his forehead. I noticed a slight twitch in his right eye. He nodded his head ever so slightly toward me as if he knew I was there, and then...
Well, all right, maybe I couldn't see all that from up here, but someday when I tell my kids about this, it has got to be in a legendary manner. I mean, I can't just tell them I saw a fly speck hit a golf ball. Michael Collins, News 5 Tonight.
Thanks, Mike. Now, thanks to that sharp single tonight, Cincinnati's 2nd Street will pass into history tomorrow. At a morning ceremony, 2nd Street will officially become Pete Rose Way. It's Mayor Charlie Lucan showing off the new signs.
Now we're not through with a special coverage of Pete's Day. Of course, still to come is the rest of the Reds game highlights from our own Steve Physiak.
And we'll show you how those who weren't lucky enough to have a ticket to Riverfront found out about the record. Stay with us.